Hey guys, what's going on? Right here, just kind of getting a little bit of shade, super sun down in this July heat. I'm actually leaving in an hour or two to head to the Outer Banks for my family trip this summer. I had not been down there for 20 years this summer. It was a couple of weeks before I left for boot camp in the Navy when I was growing up, and I thought it might be interesting kind of see what's changed, kind of what it's like to experience again, much more commercialized after all this time, see what looks the same, what it reminds me of, and bring you guys along for the ride. So if that's interesting at all, hang with me. As someone who loves niche gear, I really kind of agonized over what to bring and try to avoid overpacking for this thing. If you're interested in that at all, I made a dedicated video specifically about the electronic stuff that I brought along. The drive down there really went about as good as it could. The weather was beautiful. We made great time and we made it there even kind of sooner than we expected. So that went all really great. And little did I know at the time how untrue that was going to be of our drive home. Hey, what's up, guys? So it's the morning of the first full day. We got in here pretty late last night. I don't know, maybe like 12 or 1 a.m., something like that. And a couple people stayed up and waited for us, but kind of just walking around out back here by the ocean. Kind of wanted to bring you with me as I checked it out, because I haven't been to the shore here in such a long time. Oh yeah, definitely super overcast this morning. Looks good though, still. Got a big old sort of tanker over there or something. Turns out it's actually a dredger they use to kind of keep the shore in line and make sure the sand doesn't get away too badly. Oh, you could just make out the edge of the pier down there, the fishing pier here in OBX. I'm definitely going to check that out because I haven't been there since I was a kid and I do sort of distinctly remember it. We'll see. So I'm going to try to head out to the beach road and get a little jog in. I got this bag's really not great for that, so probably going to take it kind of easy. It's first day anyway. I didn't get a ton of sleep, but I just woke up at like 7, 8 a.m. like not sleeping anymore. So we'll see. If nothing else, it'll give me a chance to kind of explore a little bit before people start moving around and stuff. We'll see what happens. Suddenly reminded that I haven't eaten in like 15 hours since we were on the road last night at like 8 p.m. or something, and it's like probably 10. To remedy that. One of the first places I knew I really wanted to revisit was the Cape Hatteras National Seashore. I went here all the time with my parents, and it was something I really wanted to experience again and kind of see how much had changed. Watching this coast, I half expect Bodie and Hooper to come washing ashore with those yellow barrels tied to them. The lighthouses of the Outer Banks are pretty iconic, and especially around my house growing up, so I knew what I was looking at here at the edge of the seashore was the very top of Bodie Island Lighthouse, and I'd been there before. I didn't quite make it all the way there this time, but I knew that's what I was looking at. This is actually the third lighthouse that's set on this site and protected the area, the second of which was actually destroyed in the first year of the Civil War by retreating Confederate troops, so it's been a really important spot for sea traffic for a long, long time. Despite the protection of all these lighthouses around North Carolina and this coastline, This area is the resting grounds of hundreds and hundreds of shipwrecks over the centuries, including at least four known German U boats from World War II, which is pretty crazy to think about. It's especially powerful for me since I've spent months of my life at sea. It's hard to imagine hauling all the resources to build those lighthouses across these dunes in the 19th century. This ended up being one of my favorite moments all week, I think. It was really kind of a special area for me. I used to go with my parents all the time and look for shells early in the morning before people came through and picked them clean. And, I just kind of spent a little bit of time out here and kind of just absorbed all that and looked around at some of the same beaches I looked at so much as a kid. Just south of where I was walking on the National Seashore is the stretch of Oregon Inlet that connects to Hatteras Island. There used to be this bridge, the Herbert C. Bonner Bridge, that was built around about 1963 to take over for the ferries that would ferry cars down to Hatteras Island. It has since been replaced as well by a much newer bridge around about 2019 that looks very similar, but even this bridge no longer exists from my time going there as a kid. This was definitely the most nostalgic moment for the trip for me. Just kind of walking on that, fairly deserted section of the beach and kind of remembering all those times I'd been there before. And it was a really pretty cool thing to experience. There are definitely areas driving around that look exactly like how I remembered them too. Like this old section of Cottage Row. It's pretty much how all these houses look like at one time, at least from what I remember. The lighthouse we actually did make it out to was much farther to the north in Corolla. Is Currituck Lighthouse and its characteristic red brick. So we finally got a chance to go back and see one of the ones I climbed as a kid. Not a whole lot has changed at this lighthouse. They even make you sign a waiver before you climb the thing because there isn't any handrails in certain areas and it's quite high. But the view is quite worth it as well. It is really stunning. Up here you can see both the sound and the northern part of the Outer Banks and this whole part of Corolla. This view in particular kind of reminded me of Mount Vernon back home, minus the jet skis, of course. This ended up being the last brick lighthouse built in the Outer Banks, as there was about a 40-mile swath on where there was just too much darkness for ship navigation, so this lighthouse was commissioned in the 1870s to help solve that issue. These lighthouses are still monolithic today, but I can only imagine how much comfort it must have brought to the sailors of the time. We didn't end up making it to all the spots I remember as a kid, though. One of the famous ones, Jockey's Ridge.
It's another one of those tourist things. It's a huge sand dune, right? And I remember it being this massive mound of sand. It felt like it was hundreds of feet in the air, and it just like it was higher than anything else up there. And I'm sure some of that's true, but driving by it now as an adult, it does not look nearly as impressive.
Of course, like all places, the Outer Banks is not frozen in time. It is not the Outer Banks of the 1870s when those lighthouses were built, and it's definitely not even the Outer Banks of the 90s and 2000s when I visited. People live and vacation here both year round, seasonally, and You know, sometimes, like my extended family, they come back once a year. So this is a place with a, sort of a vibrant feel, and it's, a living, breathing community. And one of the kind of primary reasons around that would be the beaches. And make no mistake about it, the Outer Banks is unique amongst beach communities.
It still has a unique kind of flavor. I've had great experiences in, basically every East Coast beach at this point in my life. Gulf Coast, all around Florida, South Carolina, Virginia, Massachusetts, New York, like name out an East Coast beach, and I've probably been to the Caribbean. I've done all of the beaches there. There's obviously nothing like that, but the closest beaches are Ocean City and Myrtle Beach.
The beaches here really don't feel like those beaches at all. And while the Outer Banks is considerably more commercialized than it was when I first started coming here, it's really not to the same sort of blatant, sort of boardwalky extent that those other two beach towns feel like. And I like them both in different ways, but the Outer Banks really does feel quite different than anything that's close by to here in terms of a beach.
A lot of kind of history and sort of a deeper kind of I don't want to say cultural vibe, but a more, I don't know. It feels kind of both isolating while being much more condensely packed than it did when I was young. Like we went up Currituck Lighthouse the other day.
It was clear to me, just looking out over the houses, even in just that general area, just how many more houses there are in this community since I last was here. It's much more condensely packed. Anywhere you go, there's construction on new houses and the plots are becoming more condensed. All of that is definitely true here. Some of these houses are really new and just excellently appointed. Ours was somewhere probably in the middle, still had everything we could possibly need. Ours was 3 floors and actually had an elevator in it, which is useful but a little freaky to actually use. A lot of these houses have pools too, which turned out to be a lot more useful than I expected, especially later in the day when you're trying not to get burned to death after being at the beach all day. When you're not hanging out at the beach or the pool, it's still a really interesting area to just kind of exist in and live your life for a few days. There's some great coffee spots to hit in the morning. You can go and check out the fishing pier afterwards. I didn't spend all that much time there, but I did walk around a little bit. I was a little bit surprised just how similar it was to how I remembered. Apparently the food's not bad here too. Or if you want to hit up the staple OBX drive-through beer-themed convenience store, you can hit up the brew-through.
Amazing.
The World Cup semifinal games are going on this week as well, so we actually got to go check those out at a couple of local bars. It's really a pretty awesome scene still.
Oh, come on! Oh my, that's like 4 headers in a row.
It's honestly just really enjoyable to just drive around here. It's really interesting to kind of explore. But beyond that, I was surprised how many of the restaurants are really good there that I didn't remember, especially if you're interested in seafood, of course. One of them even had a really great sort of outdoor area with cornhole and beach volleyball. Headed back to the house at night. It was a really great opportunity to just kind of sit around and decompress, play some board games, read a book, catch up on a game, or finally check out the hot tub. Even after all the time I've spent here, there's always the possibility that the next sunrise will reveal something completely different. By the time of our trip, nearly 4,000 wildfires have been burning across Canada, with nearly 7.5 million acres affected as of right now.
That looks crazy.
It was much worse in other places across the Northeast and obviously in Canada, but the lingering after effects of the haze made the sun look quite crazy when it was anywhere near the horizon. Fortunately, where we were, the air quality wasn't significantly impacted, but as you can see, even across our drive home on the last day, it was significantly worse across areas of the Northeast, as you can see here near the port of Wilmington, and it was, worse in the days prior and across New York and Philly and other areas as well. So it was a constant companion on this trip. We also had a tornado warning, some pretty bad rain squalls, and a really bad accident just ahead of us that slowed us for about 2 hours, and the scene looked like something out of a zombie movie. Despite a pretty complicated trip back home, I think that was just one piece of what made this particular journey memorable. Coming back to the Outer Banks after 20 years was not about finding the exact place I remember as a kid, because that doesn't exist anymore. It's about seeing those places again with a new perspective, because it and I have both changed in 20 plus years. So it was really a great opportunity to see familiar landmarks and remember times I had growing up and kind of experiencing them in a new way. So if you've hung with me this long, I really appreciate it. If you like this style of video, let me know, and I'll see about doing some more of it. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.